And you are now live.
Thank you, Aisha. Welcome everyone to our FBS chat this evening. We have three amazing people who we love. Mia, welcome. Adam, Rachel. So we have Mia from Denmark, Rachel from Weston-super-Mare, the west of England, if people don't know where that is, lovely part of the world, and Adam from Georgia. And you three guys have got together to do some research on solution-focused conversation and the effects, I'm guessing, on the brain. I probably got that completely wrong. But before we go into your research, how did you three misfits get together? Because you're so spread apart.
It was nothing to do with me.
Or me, really. It was me.
I think it was all to do with me.
Okay. So how
Actually, wow. It had to do with me knowing Adam for quite a few years, and Adam introducing me to neuroplasticity, fueling my passion about that. And then I listened to Rachel doing a speak with you guys. Was that two summers ago?
I know, it's a while now.
And she talked about more or less the same kind of thing. And I thought, oh, these two guys, they need to meet. And I need to be part of that as well, because they're really interesting and I can learn a lot. And it happened. And I don't know what happened, guys.
So Mia asked and you said yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
I invited.
And it's been fabulous. You know, we meet really regularly. We talk about everything as well as research. And we've really feel like we've got to know each other. You know, it's been so nice over years of lockdown and not being able to actually physically see each other. It's been brilliant. It's been so nice.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to say is we made it through all the way through COVID together. We just would hear about Rachel's exodus to take the bins to the street. That was the highlight of our meetings regularly.
Yeah, we always meet on bins night. It's the only way of talking.
Yeah. And it's quite interesting to follow how different the world was in our different parts of where we were during the whole COVID situation and how our countries. Did we do the Brexit together as well?
We certainly did Trump.
We did do
Trump, Brexit, and COVID together. Yeah, so that was
nice.
And a lot of talk about brain and.
Have you guys ever actually met in person yet?
Not all together, no.
Adam and I, we've never met Rachel in face to face.
Oh, it's an experience, guys. You should do whatever you can. Wow. Okay. So
Feels like.
I was just going to say neuroplasticity. What's the fascination with that?
Who are you asking, Joe?
Anyone who wants to jump in.
I think you, Mia, is the kind of person who really brought it to us.
To me, I think I've always been fascinated by the brain and how it works, and quite amazed by it. And it's always been, I don't know, it's always been this strange thing I didn't know very much about. But when I heard, I think it was Cecil, you did the talk with Adam, wasn't it, in Frankfurt some years back? I think suddenly there was just a lot of words to what I had, a lot of experiences I'd had in my work with people, children, adults, and doing solution-focused work with them, that there were just bits fitting in that gave me a broader picture and understanding of what my actions were doing to other people, and even just kind of low practical understanding of how long it takes to build up a new habit or a new way of thinking. It just made sense to me. And I think that fueled, I need to know more about this. So that was how it all kicked off for me. What about you guys? How did you get into neuroplasticity? Really? Don't know. Don't remember.
I think for me, it fits into kind of a broader perspective. a lot of my research has been about what I would call like the process of solution-focused brief therapy. What's happening? Not does it work or does it not work? Because I think we know a lot about that already, but I think we don't know a whole lot about how it works or why it works or those kinds of things. And so that's one of the reasons I started getting into microanalysis and looking at the language. And so then looking at the brain just became, I was gonna say an obvious next step. I don't know if it was obvious, but it was an interesting next step to say, what's happening during this process that might contribute to why we know that it works.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Rachel?
Well, I think for me, it was just nosiness, you know, I just wanted to know what was going on. And I was talking to somebody about solution-focused conversation. I was like, well, you know, why does it work? And I happened to be at the university at the time. I was working at UWE in Bristol, and we had kit that would look at the brain as, you know, things were happening. And I thought, well, let's see what happens when you wear a bit of kit and somebody has a solution-focused conversation with you. And that was it. I just wanted to know. I didn't come to it with any kind of preconceptions. I didn't have any sort of thoughts as to what I might see or might not see. I was just an open book. I just wanted to know. And so I whacked a bit of kit on someone, had a conversation with them, and got hooked, you know, just got absolutely hooked. And just, we're still doing it. Still doing it now. You know, I think I started with the research, I think, in 2018. And it's a new project in that sense. But even the pandemic hasn't stopped me. You know, I got my own kit and was putting it on my husband and messing around with different questions and different things.
Well, do you love me? Oh, let's have a look at this. Did you put the bins out last night? Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's been fun. You know, it's just exploring it.
So the three of you got together, and obviously a real interest in I guess the language that's used and the effect it has in the brain. So how did you decide from there? What were you hoping to discover? And yeah, I guess what were you hoping to discover at the end of it? What were your hopes for this venture?
I think we wanted to really know if there was a difference between certain types of conversations, if you like. And we talked through what makes a good solution-focused conversation. What are the elements of a good quality solution-focused conversation? And so we wanted to really test all of those elements. And Adam and Elliot had put together a diamond, sort of diagrammatic of an effective solution-focused conversation. And so we wanted to use that as a way to kind of underpin the structure of the research. And Adam, I don't know if you want to kind of talk about that a little bit and how you came to the diamond.
Yeah, sure. I think one of the things, so Elliot and I, over the course of our work, really looked at different solution-focused therapists. And one of the things that kind of the field as a whole started talking about is we do the same thing. And I was actually reading the response. So Harry Corman and Peter DeYoung and Sarah Smock Jordan wrote a paper, and then Guy Shannon wrote a response. And I was reading the response to the response. And Guy was kind of advocating that they should have, instead of highlighting the things that were different or unique about solution-focused brief therapy, they should have talked about kind of how it fit in with other forms of or other modalities, other approaches. And I think that's a debate that's kind of always going in in the solution-focused world? Are we doing the same thing? How do we know what solution-focused brief therapy is? And so Elliot and I really kind of watched, and we noticed people tend to do similar things, but there are differences amongst what they're doing and how they describe it. One really simple way to think about it is when it got started with Steve and Insu, they talked about it as a goal-oriented approach. And if you listen to the guys at Brief, they talk about it is not a goal-oriented approach. And so that one simple thing made us think, so if people are describing it differently, if they're doing it differently, how do we encapsulate what this is? So the diamond really wasn't trying to create something new or different, but it was trying to describe what happens in solution-focused conversations. And we discovered mostly that people begin, whether they think about it as a goal or they think about it as the best hopes, they start very similarly. But it's when you get into the description, how do you describe the presence of that desired outcome, that variations start to occur. Sometimes people go into the preferred future by asking the miracle question, things like that. Sometimes people spend a lot of time doing scaling. Where are you on the scale as when your best hopes is present? We started spending a lot of time thinking about the history, right? It started with just exceptions, but I think that has expanded over time to now there's whole descriptions that happen about the past when the desired outcome was present. So I think that's where we started to see variability among solution-focused therapists. We took that idea and we said, doesn't matter in some sense. Does it matter if we do the same thing, or does it matter if we do different things? And so we started doing these conversations specific to those different types of description. And then we've been watching in the brain, does it have the kinds of questions that people get asked? Does that make a difference?
Yeah, and I think we also got into a lot of kind of discussions or sharing experiences of, I mean, do you need to have a creative mind to be able to answer in a specific way or get more out of a solution-focused conversation or not? And how would those questions in the diamond, would that affect the ability to spur more creativity in people or whatever? That was where it all started, wasn't it? And then we had to limit ourselves. That was quite difficult.
Oh my Lord, we have a diagram, guys. I've never had a diagram in one of these. Yeah. It's thrown me completely.
It's okay, Joe. It's new, Joe, but it's okay.
Yeah. Hey, I'll go with the flow. Okay, cool.
That's the diamond, Adam, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed just a bit, but that's when we started the research, that's what it looked like. So for this purpose, yes, that's what it is.
And so what we've done is we've recruited people and randomly allocated them to a conversation that purely focuses on resource talk, purely focuses on scaling, purely focuses on preferred future and history of outcome. And so we've got 4 streams, if you like, of data there, where people are coming in and experiencing conversations just using those questions. And that kind of allows us to, I suppose, determine, how the person works through that session. Mia talked about creativity, and do certain parts of the conversation bring more creative thinking, for the person as they're experiencing that. And also we can kind of look between the groups to see, in terms of outcomes. We've also got some various kind of psychological measures and post-session interviews and things like that, where people are reflecting on their experiences. Is there a difference in experience in each of these sessions? Does it feel different to have a kind of scaling focused session, for instance, compared with, say, a preferred future type session? So Adam and Elliot have been doing a fantastic job of recruiting, getting people in, collecting the data. It's been challenging. I can't remember when we actually applied for ethical approval, and then, we couldn't do anything because of COVID. And then, now we can just about see and touch people again. So we're kind of getting inspired to collect more data. So they've been doing that over in the States. And in the UK, we've done it a little bit differently on our first kind of pilot weekend for various reasons that are beyond our control, but we actually then just conducted what felt like a more typical natural solution focused session where these questions kind of come in throughout the session. And so we've got recordings of people experiencing a more sort of natural session in that. And then with that data, we can look at how the individual reacts to scaling, preferred future, resource talk, history of outcome. So we can really see what difference it makes within the individual and then between groups of individuals experiencing this way of working. And it's coming together, it's coming. It takes a while. We've got a few people at the University of Gloucestershire who are supporting us. We've got Professor Graham Edgar, Professor Diane Catherwood, and Dr. Stephen Baker. They're helping us with the resource, the place, the data, management of it all. They're all working academics, so we're also kind of working around their availability as well as they kind of finish the academic year. But it's coming together, and initial results are exciting.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
Initial. Hang on, I'm just writing down initial results.
Because you need to write that down.
Yeah. Well, because it sounds like it's obviously because of lockdown, it's been a longer process than maybe, and you guys obviously meeting over Zoom and what have you. And the very little I know about neuroplasticity is like these, neurons that wire together and fire together become more. It's almost like how you form a habit. So, in that sense, how do we explain how wonderful change can take in such a short amount of time? How long does it take to get this neuroplasticity going, so that an old habit is dropped and a new one has begun? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Adam, that's probably for you.
Oh,
and then I'll talk about what I've seen.
yeah.
I think the reality is it could be very different for different people for different reasons, right? I think when you think specifically about neuroplasticity, some people may have kind of ingrained one certain neural pathway for quite a while, and it might take a bit longer to change that process. But on the other hand, I think we all are really familiar with, and I think oftentimes it gets talked about when we talk about things like trauma, right? Somebody can experience a traumatic event, and that one singular event can be a life-changing event. And now all of a sudden, their thoughts are different, their behaviors are different, the feelings that they have are different. And that one singular incident can oftentimes say rewire the brain and the way that they function. And I think from a solution-focused perspective, if we buy into that singular event kind of rewiring someone, we have to bring that over and say that similar kind of a thing could happen in a positive direction as well. That if they have a singular, really impactful, positive experience, it could change the way that they think about things, the way they experience things. And we often, I think Steve DeShazer used to talk a lot about how language creates reality. And I think we, for a long time, I think maybe underutilized that we talk to these people for quite a long time, right? We talk to them for 45 or 50 minutes. And if we can get really, really good at asking specific tiny little details, and one of the things that I think can also be really helpful and enriching is, I'm going to say it in a really kind of layperson way, but in essence, like touch as many parts of the brain as possible, right? There are certain parts of the brain that are connected to our vision and what we see. There are certain parts of the brain that are connected to our memory or our emotions or how we hear things or the smells that we have, right? And if through our detailed conversations, we are purposeful about touching many different parts, the really cool thing about the way that our neurons are connected is that later if any one part is then re-stimulated, it kind of reignites the entire network. So if we spend a good period of time building a particular network around what someone's best hopes are, any one of those events or triggers that happens later on will bring back a lot of those memories or things that we've talked about. So we don't really know how does change happen in that moment, but I think that we could be really purposeful in our conversations to try to build as big a network as possible, so that any one of those things might be the impetus for change.
I think that was one of the things that amazed us as well, wasn't it? When we started to see the pictures, the recording, the activity going on that we thought maybe in one place was happening everywhere, you know, and it was the physical evidence that what we assumed was actually going on, which was really beautiful to look at.
It's really lovely. I mean, here's a picture of one of our participants wearing the EEG kit, and it's kind of really sweet, you know. This is behind the scenes. I'll show you I think I can show you the behind the scenes in the research lab.
Wow.
This is what people think research looks like. Research looks like.
Oh, wow.
And then here's our lovely lady wearing the kit. So that's kind of, you know, the type of gear that we're looking at, but what we're using rather in our research. It's nice and non-intrusive and all of that. But would you like to see a video?
Yes.
Go for it, Rachel.
Oh, we are being so spoilt right
We're
now.
spoiled.
Let's have a little look. So this is just this will be just
and then I'll find it here.
Video. Is that sharing now?
Yeah,
you can see it. So this is a little video you'll like this, you guys. This is a silent session where the person doesn't speak back. Okay. So this is somebody who I'm asking questions and is just simply lifting a finger, just raising the finger to say they've got the answer, and then I move on to the next question. I admire you guys for doing it because it's a tough way to do this work. But let's have a little look. So we've got plenty of activity on the left-hand side. So here you go. What are your best hopes?
I think that's typical, this left-handed.
Adam is also left-handed.
For those of you who don't know, Adam's very left brain.
While I was wearing it, and it was like the right half of my brain was. It looks just like this, and this is not.
So this is kind of nice because these are just kind of simple questions, right? Fairly sort of factual. What number are you today? You know. So here it gets a bit more interesting. Look, both sides. If you were to leave here today, would that be useful? So she's got to evaluate that answer, that question rather, and come up with it. And she has a little think about it, and then, yeah, that would be useful. So when you leave here today, is that number +1? What's the first thing you'll notice?
I think this part here, so you just saw like the left side light up and then just a little bit in the right front. And that's one of the things that we're looking at. That's kind of when somebody solidifies that there is an answer and that they've settled in on this is the answer, when it kind of moves over like that you just barely saw. So.
And what's really nice is when we ask notice questions, you'll see that more of the brain activates than when we just simply do a kind of, how will you know? You know, what number are you on the scale? What really started to excite us with this is when we start looking at kind of other person perspective as well. And that's starts really. So they've got into the car. This is obviously just a snippet, just a little kind of demo that we're able to put together. So, yeah, very much processing going on there. Here we go. Other person noticed. Ooh, look at that. See? So what does the other person notice? And we're starting to get into the right hemisphere now. Evaluating. I think I know what they might notice about me. What difference does it make to the other person? Look at that. Ooh. So much more going on the right-hand side, and, you know, really thinking about what difference it makes to them, you know? That was easy for that person to answer. Very easy for that person to answer. So then I kind of moved into the two of you as a couple, you know. Finding the answer. You see that spark on the right. I know, I've thought about it, and I know. So then I asked a different problem question. Is it problem focused? I would argue perhaps not. So I start with this. Are there times you've been in the same place as you are now? So this is somebody living with a long-term condition and hoping for positive change. So I've taken her back to when she had a flare-up again, you know, before, rather, in the past. You see what she's really digging in there. This is what I remember. That's where I was. So it was a flare-up, so I know that things are better. Ooh, look.
What does that mean?
Isn't it wonderful? She's seeing herself as better. That's emotion, that's joy. Yeah, and pleasure. So we can go to the problem, but then turn around. The way you coped last time, is it going to be useful this time? Yeah. So how will you know that you're doing as well or even better this time round? So we've got emotion, we've got sensory motor information. I'll see myself walking, perhaps. And there we go. It's going to make such a difference to her. Thinking about how and really coming to a nice conclusion. So who else might benefit from you doing better this time round? She's like, that's easy. The other person. That was easy. That was an easy question. How do you know they might benefit from you doing better this time round? Thinking about it. thinking, how might they know?
I think that's one of the other patterns that we're seeing a lot, is that it starts in the back and radiates forward and moves over. So that's kind of like idea generation. So
And what's
being
really lovely, yeah, I was going to say, just kind of from the back as well, we take tons of visual imagery, seeing themselves with the questions that we're asking. How will you know that you're feeling a little bit better? They're generating visual images. You know, they're like, I can see myself being a little bit better. They can really, really going for that kind of, I can see myself in a better place now. So this is kind of pushing the image of being different sort of to a few days' time, just to see whether it made any difference from sort of now to future thinking. And again, she's seeing herself in a better place. The most dangerous question of all. Has this session been useful?
The most scary one to
Anyway,
ask.
there we go. Yeah, she said. And I thought, yeah, how do I bring in this kind of take-home type question? Not knowing anything at all about what she's thought about at this time. So I thought, well, just think about it. You know, what might be the take-home message today? And she obliges. Done. So
I always
a little
love those things. So oh, go on. I was
Okay, do you have a criteria for who wears the EEG equipment?
It's very open, actually, at the moment.
Oh, I didn't. I've been checking my emails and I didn't get an invite for it.
We will set that up. We will set that up.
You need a brain wash.
We'll soon find out who's one there. If you've only got the
tried-
left side, like
Find people who weren't familiar with the language, right, to begin with. So to see what happened in those kind of brains. Because if we go back to neuroplasticity, once we train that, it will be faster for trained brains to access different areas. So we started off trying to see how it would be in brains that hadn't been exposed to solution-focused questions before.
I think.
yeah, so I think.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Sorry,
No, I was just going to ask.
Adam, I think none of them have had the solution-focused therapy before.
No, but it's interesting because the very first one we did was actually me, and obviously I know solution-focused language. And like I just mentioned, my brain looked very similar to that brain. And as I was watching, one of the things that I realized is it doesn't really matter if I know the questions, or the types of questions that'll come, because the specific question that I get asked, I don't know. Elliot spent Elliot was the therapist for me, and he asked me a bunch of questions about the next day. And I had never thought about what that would look like. And so it was a new experience for me, even though I knew the types of questions I might get asked. But the process looked very similar to what you just watched.
I think that's such a valid point, Adam, because, I mean, for myself and other people, when we start out learning solution-focused language, it's quite, often you think, I've asked the same question for so many times and the person in front of me must think I'm really annoying, or why do you keep asking that? But that's not what happens in the person being asked at all, And here's the evidence for that. Keep asking the same question because it's a new question for the person in front of you, no matter what.
I was going to ask for anyone watching, if they'd just seen that clip, there was tons of activity on the left-hand side of the brain. So what does that actually mean for anyone who doesn't know anything about the brain or neuroplasticity?
I mean, first and foremost, it means that I'm normal.
Yeah, you're stretching it a bit, Adam. You're stretching it.
Mia and Rachel gave me such a hard time. And now I'm holding on to it forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the brain is an interesting thing. You know, we thought it was, you know, this area does this area does that, this area does the other, but kind of our understanding is growing more now. But let's have a little look at a nice little kind of picture of the brain and kind of think about the areas. Can you see that? Is that large enough on the screen? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the two brains, sort of the brain at the bottom left, that's looking down on top. So we're getting a lot of area in, for instance, a lot of activity, sorry, in this area here, area sort of 1, visual imaging. They're producing images of them doing, seeing, knowing this. You know, whatever question we've asked, they are generating an enormous amount of activity in that area. And we've also got this sort of bluish area here, which is highly activated. Evaluation, and it's sensory. You know, so how would I know that I was feeling a little better or that things were getting a little better? This is, you know, relating to the physical self, but also, you know, kind of the emotional self as well. You know, how do I know that I'm feeling better? And in the example we've just seen, this is somebody living with a chronic condition. And so it's a mix of physical and psychological improvement, you know, for that person. And so we're getting the parts of the brain activated that are about that, you know, that are about, I can sense that I'm getting better, that the other person would notice. This gives me sensory kind of feedback that the other person would notice that I'm a little better today. And again, thinking about sensations, the sort of pairless section there, you know, this is sensory, sensations from the muscle and the skin. The person is feeling what's happening to them. You know, one of the things we know is that the brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality. That's why virtual reality works so well. You truly believe you're there. And these questions, these conversations are generating a virtual experience of betterness. And the brain is believing it, it's buying into it. You know, it's really trusting in what's happening, you know, with the conversations, which is amazing. You know, it's absolutely amazing. And people describe kind of left side as kind of more logical, more practical, right side more creative, and so on. And I think that's really interesting. With some of those questions, we saw an absolute bloom of activity on the right-hand side. And they tend to be around other person notice, other person difference. The other people in our lives mean a lot to us. And so it gets caught up in emotion and it would be so much better for them, wouldn't it? And that is a real leap. You know, one of the things that Mark McCurgo talked about at the conference last week was how solution-focused conversation can kind of stretch a person's experience. It can stretch their world. And that when we ask other person notice, other person difference, we're opening up the world. We get bogged down in what we feel and what we want to happen. And these questions allow us to go, oh, the other person will be affected by this. It'll make a difference to them.
And already then they will go and do something in a slightly different way than they did before, right? And then the ring starts spreading.
So when the left side is on, it's almost logically thinking about, okay, if I make this difference, this could make a difference to me. But when we start to ask in the solution, so who else would notice? What difference would it make to them? They start to, is that a driver for the motivation to change, do you think?
You know?
I think that's a hard question to answer because we don't know for each person what the answer is. But I think a couple of things from that diagram that Rachel just showed, I think you noticed that there was a lot going on back here in the visual, right? So there's a lot of, and again, she mentioned we don't really know the difference between imagination versus it's happening. So oftentimes when you ask people, what was it like to go through this process? People will just say, like, I was taken to that moment. Like I really saw myself there. And so that makes a lot of sense that that's happening here. And then obviously in the front part, that's where logic and reason. And so if this, then what, right? We talk a lot about presuppositional questions. If a miracle happened, what would the answer be then? And that requires a lot of like logical thinking. Okay, so this happens, so there's a change that happens, my behavior would be different, and thinking through that process. But you notice that there was kind of a break in the middle, right? You would see activity in the back, you would see activity in the front. And that middle section was more of like the emotional section and the motor section, right? They're sitting there logically answering, verbalizing questions, but their bodies aren't moving. So that part of the brain is just sitting kind of quiet, right? But the other thing, when you move from the left side to the right side, there's this creativity, and it makes sense too. When Rachel said one of the things that we notice when it switches over to the right side is we ask, who else would notice, and what do you think they would notice, and I don't really know the answers to those questions. And so I have to, in some sense, imagine. I have to think, okay, so what would they do? I don't know. I guess they might. That takes a little bit more creativity. It makes sense that it's going to move to that side. Now I'm, again, creating the reality of if I do these logical things, if I behave in this way and I do these things, how might they respond to that?
I've got right. I think earlier on we were talking about the neuroplasticity and how people's certain behaviors become automatic because we do them all the time, sort of thing. And what was interesting, what I found was we don't really take into account spontaneous change, right? Because people can change in a moment, in a conversation, in an incident. So it doesn't necessarily need to take years and months for this change to happen, which is where we're fighting, I guess, with the world of psychotherapy. Do you see what I'm saying? That people I've seen changes happen. I've witnessed things, and not just trauma, things that bring me joy. So as much as, and I think that's where we're looked down upon, is why doesn't it take years of therapy to change neuroplasticity?
Can I just going to make a statement now? People might get annoyed with me and maybe think I don't know enough, but I would argue that we are social animals. That's what we are. We are dependent on social interactions and responses from other people. So going back to the thing around motivation, Joe, and I do believe that quick change can happen once we help people access those circles of looking into how other people or how other things would respond to us. It doesn't have to be another human being. It can be or your cat or whatever, something else than ourselves. And can it be that simple? I think so. But you would never get people there if we keep looking back at trying to find reason or explain what happened before. You don't get to those areas in the brain.
Yeah.
Argue. Other people might have a different opinion.
That area of possibilities.
Yeah.
That something can actually change and may have some agency in that. Something just cropped in my mind. I work with someone who's autistic, who's very, very logical. The other side of the brain doesn't seem to come in at all. How other people perceive him doesn't seem to matter. Is there a limit to the questions that we ask in terms of those types of clients, or am I just asking the wrong questions? And trust me, that is absolutely possible.
I think you're asking the wrong questions, Joe. I don't. I don't, because I have worked with people on the autistic spectrum and even far out on the spectrum, where after a long time of hearing the same questions, doing the same things have started to come.
Okay.
So I think it's a question of our pace and our patience and our trust in the fact that keep going, and maybe rephrase your questions, or use a Lego brick instead of doing whatever that makes sense to that specific person. That as a tool to open the specific door in that direction. I don't believe there's any limits to our questions at all.
Oh,
and I don't even know why Joe said that, because I know how Joe has worked with so many young people and adults with autism and has been very successful. But yeah, you just changed the way you're asking the question. And
yeah, definitely. And the only reason I asked it was because when we were talking about, the left and the right hand side, and the right hand side is starting to imagine what other people would feel, often in someone that may not have that, whatever they like to label it, theory of mind, it might be a lot more difficult, but not impossible. Thank you, Mia.
But I also think that not everybody has to go through this process in the same way, right? You saw the bulk of the activity was happening in that logical part of the brain. And so this might actually function really, really well for them. This might feel normal to them, right? Because you think about a lot of other therapeutic approaches, and one of the most common questions is, how does that make you feel? That may not resonate in that, but I don't know. Fine. As you asked that question, I thought about a kid that I worked with, who was also on the autistic spectrum. And one of the things that we centered so much of our work around is that he loved airports, and he had a book of every single airport in the world, and he had memorized how many terminals and how many gates, and he could tell you where the cleaning closets were, and so he knew everything about airports. And so it was my job to change the questions to fit into airports.
Yeah.
If you were walking through an airport on a day when your best hopes happened, what would you notice different that you've never noticed before? And so change for him would be different than change for a lot of other people. But I think we have to keep that in our minds, as change for each of us is different. So for him, I used language of airports because he knew airports. If I talk to any of you about airports, I'm guessing you know very little about airports. So I think that's the thing that we have to hold on. We customize it to who we're talking to.
And this is a conversation we've had, isn't it? This is a conversation we have over and over again around the accessibility of this type of therapy, a language-based therapy. And, what are the limitations of that? Are there situations when it might be inaccessible? And we talk and we talk and we talk, and we still come to the conclusion that it's down to us to make it happen, to make it work, to use the language of the client. And, in Adam's client, the language was the airport.
I had a conversation today, actually, where the metaphor was a guy talking about himself as rebuilding himself as a new car, and what was he to take from the old car to the new car, and his values. He used the word, that's the kind of motor oil. And I think right when that happened, I was like, I know nothing about cars. I mean, I know nothing. But that's the beauty of it. We don't have to know. We just have to use. And you don't get that in other therapies that I know of.
And I think, to bring it back to your question, Joe, I think that requires just as much creativity to come up with something in my life is akin to motor oil as it does for me to think about who else is going to respond to a change that occurs in me. It requires maybe a different kind of thinking, but the same level of creativity.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned airports, Adam, because I had a young man who knew every single station on the London Underground.
So cool.
Every single one. Where they went, if they had a lift, if they had an escalator. I thought he was amazing.
Yeah.
His mum thought, well, what's the point of that? What's the point of that knowledge? But yeah, absolutely. I think it's finding that passion that they have, and how we can use that to support them.
It's sparking that creativity, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the right hand side of the brain, guys, by the way. It's just sparking that creativity. I came up with that all by myself. No thanks to you, Duncan. Once you spark it,
you're full of right hand side,
once you spark it, then it kind of ignites something, and then you kind of go to ignite it again, and before you know it, it starts to just kind of present itself more often. And I was kind of talking about this yesterday in the training about dusty old books, all the resources and creativity's there, but it's just dusty, and we just need to search for it. But once we find it and just kind of blow the dust away, you're more likely to find it a lot quicker and use it to your benefit.
That's neuroplasticity, just in other words.
Thank
nice
you.
One,
Yeah, there you go. I just said it in Aisha's language. This is my reflection time.
So I'm really interested in. So obviously you all got together. You had this wonderful idea. You've done. You've had sessions in real life scenarios. Was there anything that really surprised you? I'm guessing when you go for a research thing, you kind of know, right, this is what I'm trying to prove, and these are the outcomes we're hoping for. Did anything take you by surprise that you thought, wow, this is an extra bonus?
For me, there was.
Go ahead.
You guys think I think much faster than they do.
So Mia thinks much faster than Adam and Rachel. Okay.
I love it. Write that down, Joe.
Yeah, I am writing it down.
I think what surprised me the most, or it wasn't a surprise, but it was just like, yes, was the finding we did about what happens between the questions during the silence. And I use that every single day in my work now, and I share it with people, saying when they say I don't know, because Adam's brain showed that it was working so hard, but it was. And I was just like, oh, okay, they've told us this for so many years. Just wait, don't answer, don't steal their chance to think or say something. And I was like, there it is. It does happen.
So that silence wasn't uncomfortable. You just suddenly realize that the person in front of me is making these, trying to figure out what,
more than what I thought.
Yeah.
So that was for me anyway. It was a big. I don't know what about you guys. Did you? What were your?
Yeah.
I think a lot of this process is an inductive process for us, right? It's purely just like what are we going to find? So we didn't really go into it hoping to find one particular thing. But I agree with Mia. There was a particular session that Elliot was doing when I was watching from behind, and it was in the vein of resource talk. So he literally had a whiteboard and he numbered 1 to 25. What skills do you draw on, or what skills do you have in order to make this best hopes a possibility? And they went through in a really rhythmic fashion, and they got down to like number 14 or something. And he said, and what else do you use? And building up to this point, what was really fascinating to me is that she answered with such regularity. I would watch her brain. There's a different view that we can see. It's just all of these different squiggly lines. Each of those connections shows, is it functioning or not? And he would ask the question, and there was literally about a 1.5 second pause where they would just kind of be quiet, and then it would start to move. And then in 2 seconds, she would answer the question. And I could predict, I could say she's going to speak right now because the pattern was so rhythmic. And he got down to like number 14, and he asked her, and she went through the exact same pattern. And literally by this point, I had gotten so cocky that I went like this, boom, she's going to speak. And she did it. And she said, I said, she threw off the whole thing. And then she said, I don't know. And I literally out loud, because thankfully I was sitting in a different room, I said, she's lying. She knows.
She's just not saying.
Yeah. So then he asked the question again, and she did the exact same pattern. And the second time I was like, answer. And she said nothing. And then she said, I don't know. And again, I said, she's lying again. And then the third time, he asked the question in a different way. He changed the way he asked the question. And then that pattern happened, and she answered. And so sometimes I think that's what Mia's really getting at, is the I don't know may not be, I don't really know. I haven't thought about it. I don't know the answer. But it may be, I don't know if I want to tell you, or I don't know if I formulated it just right yet, or I'm not sure I understood your question. And it might just need to be evidence to us that we need to change up the way we answer the question and help the question be a bit more answerable.
Yeah.
And even allow them to evaluate. Even allow them to evaluate and think about answer A, B, C, or D. Which one is actually the right one for me right now? Yeah.
What about you, Rachel?
That's been a huge finding, that weight principle. You know, the answer is coming. Do you know, I think the loveliest thing about the research has been all the volunteers. They have given us so much. They have given us so much. And you saw the situation in the UK with a kind of put together therapy room and the noise in the sort of research area behind. And they were wearing this strange thing on their heads. And they just dealt with it all with extraordinary kind of elegance almost. They just simply went through everything we wanted them to go through. And in the conversations, they were personal, they were emotional. It was a real session, even with all of this going on and all the bother of coming to a university and a building and a room and, you know, all of this. And it was total joy for us when we were data collecting. These wonderful people just gave so much. It was just lovely.
So in your conversations together, do you ever speak about, you know, once we finish our findings here and write the paper and, you know, win awards and what should we do next?
That's Mia. That's Mia. We could do this with it. We could do that with it. We could do this with it. We could do that with it.
I'm always trying to get the therapist to wear it.
Yeah, everyone wants to know
what's going on in the therapist's head during this.
That would be so interesting, wouldn't it?
So interesting.
Yeah.
What if it's blank?
We've gone through quite a lot of
Mia, are you telling me you haven't actually thought about trying it yourself?
I don't have the kit, but I've thought about buying it. I've not tried it because it's been COVID. I tried to get to the UK, but it was not possible. It's possible now.
I did just think of, I have a kit and Rachel has a kit, we could do a Zoom session where I wear one and you wear one, and we could
I
see
know,
what's
that would be
going
fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Joe and I will have to witness this to make sure that you haven't tampered with anything.
Okay, you can go to Rachel's.
We'll have to
I think
Come
be
down
witness
to
to
the
that.
seaside, you know, come to the seaside and we'll do it.
Yes, definitely.
Write that down, Joe.
Come to London and we'll make you all a lovely cup of
Oh,
English
I don't know
tea.
about that, London.
That
No,
London. So
London.
Adam and I are coming.
when
I would
you
say there might be a chance I'll be there in July if all going well.
oh, brilliant.
Yay.
Yeah, come over.
Is that because summer school is becoming a physical thing again, Adam?
No, they it's the Essex, the DBIT conference that they always do.
Oh, yes. Oh, when in July is this?
I think it's around the 15th-ish or something.
Adam, can you send me details on that? Because I haven't even heard of it.
It's good. What is this chit chat?
Yeah, it
I've
is.
got another question here. Jesus.
Adam,
So,
would you mind emailing me
quiet, Ash.
details on that, please?
No,
Thank you,
we've
Adam.
moved on, Joe. We've moved on.
Oh,
Yeah, Joe.
please. I just
Please.
wanted one more question.
Go on, hurry up. I need to close.
This is Luke and so on down south.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
good
just carry
people
on.
down there.
I might
Sorry,
as well drink
Joe.
my wine. Anyway, yeah, so
This is really what our meetings are like.
do you know what? You guys are amazing. This research is so interesting. How do you hope it will affect practitioners moving forward with this research? With this, I know we've said give clients that space because they are actually thinking through what you've just asked them. Don't rush into the next question. What else do you hope they would get from it?
I think one of the things that I would say is, and I think to some level people know this already, but I hope that it kind of re-raises it, is that we have a great responsibility. I think sometimes people come in and we just think, oh, this is my job, this is the next, this is my 3 o'clock. And I think that what this shows is that every question we ask has the potential to change the way that people process, change the way that people think. And like you mentioned, Joe, there's the possibility of spontaneous change. And I hope that people kind of take on the gravity of the work that we're doing and the impact that we can have.
Brilliant.
Wow, I love that.
I love it.
I love
Rachel, have you anything to
I
add?
think, I mean, just around Adam's comment, to be honest, it's kind of validating, isn't it, our approach? It's demonstrating that what we are doing is making a difference on a neurological scale. It's making a difference there. And the more we can understand about the effect each question has on how the brain reacts and responds and the results that we get, the more we can fine-tune our work, that we can really know where to focus our energies and where this needs to be, in terms of the session, that, when we ask that particular question, we know that we're setting up the brain to really look at things differently.
Amazing. Mia.
I'm back.
Sorry, there's 2 Mias. Hello. Oh, no. I don't know. We had 2 of you then.
Were you asking me, Joe?
Just how if any practitioners out there or new to SF, what you're hoping that they might gain from your research and the work that you've done?
What is women?
Mia, we're losing you.
Yeah, we're losing you, Mia. You need to turn Netflix off.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. Start again. Cause we haven't.
Oh, bless.
There must be something good on the table.
Yeah,
she's playing that game with us. She's not really frozen.
She's watching Obi-Wan.
That's
No.
What did you say? She's watching Obi-Wan.
She's watching Obi-Wan on Netflix. That's what she's doing.
On
No, it's
Disney.
Disney Plus. Oh, what a shame. But
Yeah, she's back. She's back.
Hang on. Hey.
Don't know what's going on. I think just following on, I agree with Adam and Rachel completely. I'm hoping that people will take this a bit more serious, you know. And I'm saying that because in Denmark, it's fairly new still. You know, it's not established here, and there's still a lot of skeptical thoughts around it, and people thinking it's a bit wifty-wafty, whatever. And it's so not. It's bloody serious stuff. And I agree. Imagine we have such great opportunities with this. But if we don't take it serious, we also, we have access to people's brains, and that's pretty goddamn serious. And my best hope is that people will take it serious. So simple questions are really not that simple when it boils down to it, right?
So basically, this is just the beginning.
It is.
You have opened the door to all these possibilities, and us minions are sitting back waiting to see what's going to happen. Totally in awe of your individual and combined work, and these three fantastic brains coming together, and us just going, wow. And taking all your hard work, quoting it and using it to our advantage.
We are stealing it. We are honest thieves.
But honestly, it's absolutely amazing, and what a brilliant combined group you are together.
I think the beauty of it, isn't it? You know, it's a good mix of academia, practical work, philosophical thoughts that we've been going out into as well. And I think that's what makes this extremely useful on all levels of the use of SFBT in the world.
I think there's one other thing that's really, really impactful about this process too. So Mark Beabach recently published a paper with a bunch of other people about where solution-focused research is being done around the world. And one of the things that really, really struck me about that paper is that very, very few studies, there's hundreds now, we have over 300 studies that have been done with solution-focused, and less than 25 of them have ever been done across country lines. And so to think about this group of people, right, we have 3 different countries contributing, and we have researchers and clinicians contributing. And I think that's really beyond just what the research is about. This research process, where it really is a worldwide process, is also really, really innovative.
Wow. This is so exciting. I'd like to be a fly on the wall when you guys are together and bouncing ideas. And Mia saying, it's all right, guys, because then we're going to go on to do this, and we're going to be doing this. And Rachel and Adam going, 1 minute, Mia, let's finish this one first.
Well, I don't understand what you're talking about. What is going on? What's this theta thing? Why is it purple?
I know.
I can only imagine, Mia.
Rachel, I haven't forgotten what you said. I went on Rachel's SF24 show, and I asked what I thought was quite a sensible question about, does the brain lose creativity as it gets older? And she said, no, that's all the red wine you drink. I thought, I cracked up. I thought, that is Rachel. Brilliant. Guys, this has been amazing. I love you all.
We love you too.
Yeah. Thanks for letting us be here.
Oh, no. Thank you so much for joining us. 3 brilliant minds. Honestly, we are in awe of all 3 of you and your work. Any last words from anyone before I draw it to a close?
Ooh, a close. No.
Just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Yeah, thank you.
I bet you guys are fed up of talking about it now. It was like, come on, talk to us. Come on, talk to us. But we are all that matters. Just remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, guys, for spending this time with us in all different time zones. I know it's not much difference between Rachel and Mia. What time is it over there, Adam?
It's 10 after 3.
Ah, still early.
Middle of the afternoon.
Oh, all right. But thank you for your expertise. Thank you for thank you for the work that you're doing, because I think it's invaluable. I think let's give our clients that space to actually process what we've asked them. I think that's been the thing, and spontaneous change can happen. It doesn't have to take years of therapy, which was another thing. But thank you so much, guys. I'm going to go home and I don't know what I'm watching tonight. I've watched Obi-Wan, but I watched something else. But I'm going to go home with a smile. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Right, if you guys can just stay there just for a couple of minutes so we can say goodbye behind the scenes. And for the rest of you, I will be posting who our next FBS chat is with. I'm not telling you right now, basically, because I don't know. So I will see you guys very, very soon. Have a lovely evening.